This is crazy. I can't believe you actually came from Northern Ireland to Michigan.
It's an exceptional situation. I couldn't not come. 1,000 SOPs and 1,000 Kanbans in about 4 months. We've never had that happen before. So I had to come and find out what's happening. The big question for me is why? Why have you put all that effort in? What value did you get from it?
Man, wow, there's a lot of value, whether it's Kanban or whether it's standard work documents. And we could probably focus most on standard work today.
Yeah.
The big thing for me is no more firefighting. You have all this information that used to be tribal knowledge and held on to by individuals throughout this entire business. And they would have all the knowledge to run that process. And now we're documenting it, and that allows trainees or other employees that are filling in to be able to have that information that they need at their fingertips. And it's crazy because, you know, initially it's like, there's no way, how do you do this, right? And I've said before, 6 months ago, I didn't even know what standard work was, right? Until I found a podcast with you on it, talking to Ryan Tierney about standard work, and then you told me how easy it was to do. Well, we started at the bottom, and we worked our way up, and from there, it is unbelievable how valuable these standard work documents are, and that's why we've made it a major priority to get to where we are, where we have, I don't know, some 1,100 SOPs as of today. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
You want to walk around and
Definitely.
see?
Let's come and have a look at this place.
All right, Tom, so this is kind of where we started. So as you can see on a lot of our machines, we have actually a QR code. These are QR codes for GembaDocs. So I can come over here. This particular one is changing the cardboard. So on the cardboard machine, we have a giant stack in the back. So if it ran out, how do we do it? Well, we come over here, we hit that. We open up this GembaDoc. Yeah, there it goes. So you can see it opens right into the app. And from here, it gives me step by step how to go through and change the cardboard. So if I've never done this, I can step in and do this.
So you started with the simple stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And
yeah.
really, one of the big questions I have, because you did so many in such a short space of time, you obviously didn't do all that by yourself.
Correct.
How did you get the team on board?
Once you're able to show the value to the employees, so for them, being able to do this is crazy. You know, 1 or 2 of these guys may do it, and then they get called. Hey, Ben, I need you to change the cardboard in the cardboard machine. Well, now Ben put the information here. He made the process the expert. And now he doesn't have to be the one that gets called when it runs out. They can just scan it and they can do it themselves. So once they started to see that this stuff like really works and takes a lot of burden off of them, they were really quick to jump in and get all of this stuff done. So whether that means turning a machine on and off, whether it does maintenance on those machines, whether it may be how to do some of the basic operations on those machines, like this one says how to create the small boxes. So we have a bunch of small boxes over there. Great example, Brian, my shipping manager, his daughter, she's 14, she just started working here, and the first day she was here, she was able to walk over here, scan this, never running this thing ever in her life, and create the small boxes that we needed to stock all of our tables.
Beautiful.
But yeah, it's really cool. Let me show you some more. All right, Tom, so this is a great place to see a bunch of SOPs in one spot. This is using a Kamishi board, for those that aren't familiar with that. These are red and green cards that you can print right out of GembaDocs. But this is a great example of a bunch of different SOPs in one location.
So like, to do all that, how many have we got there? We've got like
a dozen, or maybe, yeah.
Odd. That's a lot of time and resource. How do you manage your team so that they're effectively using their time to create these things?
Yes, so there's several ways to do this. Some of these are really easy and they can just be done while doing the task. For example, this one here says to empty the cardboard waste. So, you know, we have what you would call a trolley, or we call a bin on wheels, that we put all of our scrap cardboard in and then we take it out to the dumpster. So while they're doing that, they can just quickly document that process and then turn it into an SOP. Now, if you get to some more advanced things, it obviously takes a little more time. And at that point, you gotta be a little more delicate with how you do it, because you can really kill your production if you have somebody that's documenting a 50-step process while they're trying to do their work. Next thing you know, they're not hitting their tack times, we're missing deliveries to customers. So the other option is if you have a surplus of people, if you're creating a surplus of people by implementing lean, you can reuse those resources of people to distribute across the business to do more SOPs. Our customer service department's a great example. You can only 3S so much in an office. It's really hard for them to see their waste, so it's really hard for them to make improvements. But they can come out here and they can quickly make a lot of these things to help keep the guys on track in this department.
And I guess that's really good for team cohesion when you're using multiple people to create the SOPs, not just only the people who are doing the work themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can always get tunnel vision if you're in your own area all the time and fail to see some of the small improvements that you could make in these little minute tasks, right? We're using this particular board for 3S time, so a lot of times it's hard to figure out exactly what you should be doing, so we put it all on here. And it's not really complex stuff, you know, it's like power down the box machine, create small boxes, empty waste cardboard, start, restock the tables, sweep this area, empty the trash. So it's simple stuff like that, but it gives them great feeling of satisfaction when you can take a red card and turn it into green, right?
And the lovely thing here is that you've got the answer where the question is for the task itself. So
yes.
Often these boards in the past just were the tasks.
Yeah.
But now, hey Dave, organize the stock shelves. What does that mean?
Right.
Yeah, but we've got specificity. Hey, see what I did there? And you're giving them the exact method and the standard way of doing that task, so it's total clarity.
Yeah, and I don't want to brush past this, but you can actually scan the QR codes right on here. Same thing, we're using the GembaDocs app here on my phone. Yeah, come on, glare. And you can open this up, and then you have the instructions you need step by step to do that process.
Beautiful.
So they're not just red and green, there's actually some real value on those cards.
So Brian, you've explained already you're using it for some pretty simple stuff.
Yep.
Is there anything more elaborate that we're using it for?
Yeah, this is a good step up right here. So right here is our bulk pack. So this comes out of our supermarket, as they say in Europe.
Or grocery store.
Or grocery store, yeah. We call it just a bulk pack rack, right? So we have our inventory of bulk packs. So this is what our shipping department is pulling to package. And when they exhaust the inventory out, they have to pull this up here. They pull the Kanban card, Kanban pulled, they pull the inventory out of the back. Then this card comes over here to this department to actually create this bulk pack. Now historically what we've done is used this thing and MRP. So this is just a, you know, big old.
That's your before situation.
Yep. So we have this giant thing and you got to go through here and find the bulk pack.
Man, this is so typical.
So some of them don't have pictures.
Yeah, so if you're new here, like what is that part number?
Yeah.
And you've got to read the description of the bolt and it's like fraught with error.
Yeah, exactly. So now what we're doing is we're putting the SOP right on the back of this card. So when this card comes back over here to be remade, they can actually scan this, go right into GembaDocs, just like we've shown previously, and go step by step to create this bulk pack. Then once they've created this bulk pack, they can return the inventory and they can return the Kanban card. And what this allows us to do is not use forecasting through a MRP system, which is telling us to build, you know, 92 of this, when you can see my Kanban for this is 2 and 2. So I only want 4 in inventory to cover the next couple weeks.
You know what I like about this even more? I get asked so often, how do we get our people to follow the SOP? That's probably the second question I get asked most. And the thing I love about this is because you've made the SOP integrated into the process of carrying out that job, I need to use the SOP with all the clarity that it gives to complete that task. You're taking care of that.
Another thing that you want to talk about people using it, when we've used this way historically and we need to make an update, we have to reprint this and put this back out here, and a lot of times what have happened is that step gets missed, and now the person that made these, and they would have made 15 or 20, has to take them all apart to remake them correctly. But now with GembaDocs, I can go in and update this, and the next time that it's made, those changes are live.
And yeah, that QR code's always the latest document, so all of this disappears.
Yeah, let's go look at some more stuff. All right, Tom, let me show you another integration of an SOP for those that are wondering how do you make people use them. So GembaDocs, Kanban card, and on the back I have right here the packaging SOP to actually do the packaging. So that tells us the box, the bulk pack, the size of the box so we can make it in the box machine, how to package it, and then where to put the label, the product label. So then when this comes back from powder coating, they can actually package everything, put it on the shelf. This is a great example to show where you can see my other inventory that isn't boxed, and this one's a great example. The dust and dirt that's on this is creating a defect for my customer. So by implementing this packaging SOP, we'll no longer be putting stuff on the shelf like this. The other thing is, you have product that's just stacked on top of each other, so when they slide it out, they could potentially scratch the finish, and then the customer is getting a defect.
The thing I like most about this is again how you've made the SOP part of the process. So when that card's pulled and the next person's going to do it, to understand what parts am I putting in that box, how should they be orientated, all that precision. You're just taking all the uncertainty and inconsistency out of it.
Yep, absolutely.
And helping the operator do the right job.
Yeah, makes their life way easier.
So Brian, we've looked at warehouse, production. You're also using these in the office as well.
Yes, very much so in the office. So right now we're in the accounting department. Another Kamishibai board because it's so easy to keep track of all the tasks. As you can see in accounting, there's a shit ton of tasks. Can I say shit?
You can say.
There's a lot of tasks. And for this one is really great because examples are, some of these things can be pretty hard, especially in the ERP system, on how to maybe do the reconciliation of AuthNet, or whether we're doing cash receipts, which is a daily thing we have to do. And the nice thing is that when they originally created these SOPs, I tried to use the stream decks to try to help them speed up their processes. And by them having an SOP, I was actually able to follow the SOP, create steps in a stream deck, and actually create this really quick process for them. So to me, that's crazy because I'm not an accounting person, but I was able to follow the steps and do these things. So it really takes all of that knowledge that's inside of an accountant's head, puts it here to where a team can work on it together. And you can also quickly train people, right? It's really hard to remember things, right? So do you want to tell somebody something 4 times, or do you want to teach them once, give them a document, and let them learn?
Actually, one of the customer stories I had a lady a few weeks ago who's not been able to take her vacation for years because she's the only one in the organization who can carry out the payroll task. And so we've helped her with GembaDocs get to a place where now, this year, she may take all her PTO. And it means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. For us, John, he's a workhorse. He works way too much. All the time he's working. It's because he's forever held so many of these things as the only thing that only I can do these things. But once he was able to get them out into the real world and see Jen being able to perform these tasks, it frees John up to not have that burden of feeling like he has to handle it all and he has to be here every waking hour to make sure that we're being successful as a company.
Beautiful.
All right, Tom, so I brought you upstairs. This is our engineering department. This is their digital Kamishibai board. This is a really cool, lean, innovative idea for us. So what you see is the people and what they're working on, and then the step of their tasks that they're working on to finish.
So that's an individual project?
Yep, and then as you go across, they're finishing the things.
And you've got a standard set of steps for each project?
Exactly. And so when you get over here, you start to get to where the SOPs are built into the system. So over here we have build a part number in Epicor, update price list, product launch, email. And when they do that on their computer, and it goes right through, shows them the steps they need to do it, and they all can remember, and it creates a standard so that nobody messes it up.
So Brian, this is certainly a lot more complex SOP here. Tell me about it.
So as you can see, we have the SOP, and we have it step by step. 32 steps required for this. Now this is a time one, so this is where we were talking about being careful when you're creating these things, not to just lose all of your time in production creating these. And what we're allowing our team to do is be able to use this through an ERP interface. So they use an iPad and they go right outside and they can go right through the SOP, see what it is, and then from there they can build the process. This is a 3-person cell, so they're actually doing it, they're breaking it up into steps, so it's more of a one-piece flow. So that they'll get to where they will hit a stop button on here, and that means that they're done with their operation, and then it goes to the next one. And we try to match the cycle times, an hour a piece on each or whatever it may be, so the takt time is there. But that's how we're getting this integrated into a really complex process.
So to carry out that task once more, you have to use the SOP.
Yeah. Obviously, people that have been here a long time know how to make this. Some of the stuff that we've been trying to work on is quality. And that would be making sure that everyone's putting welds in the same spot. And it was a podcast I listened to where the person said, if you don't have a standard, then you're going to have a variance. And if you have 4 or 5 people not working off a standard, you're creating 4 or 5 variances of your product. So what we're trying to do is create one standard. This is what it looks like. It doesn't matter whether this person in the cell next to us is making it or this person's making it. It's always the same over and over and over again, which allows us then to make improvements on it.
Yeah. There's an old saying, without a standard, there can be no improvement.
Absolutely.
So Brian, this is a beast of a machine. What's going on here?
So this is a Yaskawa Moto Man Arc World welding cell. 2 robots on the other side. This over here is a fixture table for this side. This is where we would actually load the part to run on the robot welder. With GembaDocs, we've been able to simplify this down to where anybody can come over here and scan this SOP right here and then do the steps required to run this operation. So you go from having a really tough task with a welding robot to being able to go right into a document like this. You can see the points that they're saying, load 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's a 45-step process to run this part. But anybody can run it with very little information.
And the benefits you're getting from that, obviously you've got redundancy with your people, so if somebody's not here, they can do it.
Yeah, our guys are really good at being here, so we don't really have that as a problem. But it's just one of these things where this is a really complex thing. How do you teach somebody 45 steps, and then on top of that, on 15 or 20 products, how do you teach that? Well, this gives us a standard to work off of.
This is key, because for me, what my experience with GembaDocs and its customers is that this is where the really big value is. So in the old days, without the standard and you bring someone on board, there's 45 steps. How many times are you going to have to show them that task before they're internalizing it?
Yep.
Whereas with GembaDocs, yeah, you still have to show the guy, but you've got the SOP as a reference, as a guide, and you can pull away a lot faster, and he has a crutch to lean on while he's getting up to speed and up to value.
Yep, and this is a great example of somebody that has put SOPs all over the equipment. So if you go all the way around this machine, you'll find QR codes that show you how to turn the machine on, how to operate the machine, how to do the maintenance on the machine, and on and on and on. How to change the tips, how to clean the nozzle.
I'm really interested in the maintenance stuff. Can we have a quick look at that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Tom, this is how we're handling maintenance on this piece of equipment, but we use it on every piece of equipment in our building at this point. Kamishibai boards have become our #1 tool for making sure that our stuff doesn't have downtime. As you can see here, these are all the tasks that have to be done daily, weekly, monthly, but these are actually maintenance tasks. So for example, this monthly task is to clean the threads on the table where the fixtures are going. So once a month, they're making sure that they run the tap through those threads to make sure that it stays up and running. Another one on here is to actually dress the table with WD-40 so that it doesn't rust. And we put these on here and they make sure they get them done. In the past, we could talk about all the maintenance that we want done, but this actually gives us a real easy way to tell from a distance, is the maintenance getting done and is it up to date?
Super.
So Tom, you're gonna see here that Lee, our robot operator, has put QR codes on every one of these fixtures, so every job that comes down has all the information to run that particular job. Super cool.
So sometimes, Brian, you're just keeping it simple. You're just printing them out and putting them on the machine with some laminate on them.
Yeah, follow these 5 steps, clean the machine, easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Simple.
All right, Tom, so now we're back in our machining department. This has got to be our hardest SOP to date. So these are setups for machining. As you can see here, it's not exactly anything easy, but Monty's managed to take this product and get set up down to 6 steps in GembaDocs that people can do to run this part. And before we started, he would tell me, do you know what an edge standoff tool set is? And I would be like, no. And he was like, well, how do you expect me to do it? And I was like, I don't know, just try. And Monty became one of my biggest believers when it came to SOPs because he took a very, very difficult process and has found a way to document it and share that wealth of knowledge.
To me, Brian, that is mind-blowing.
Oh, you don't want to know what's going to happen with that.
So Brian, thanks a million for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
It's been unbelievable. You're doing it at such a high level. I think what I'd love the people watching this video to know is like, what were the key learning points for you? Like, what were the positives? Like, this went really well, and maybe one, I wouldn't do it like this again.
One of the things I would say is I'm really proud of my team. I really just opened the floodgates and let everybody create, and they have. And it's really cool to see that they are understanding the value of standard work and grasping that. And we often talk about how standard work went from something we didn't even know existed to being something that in the lean community that everybody is knowing us for. And I think that's a pretty wild swing.
Yeah, that's some turnaround.
Yeah, so for that, I would say that is what I'm really proud of. I'm really proud of my team. They're excellent and they totally kick ass. For problems, that I've had. We obviously went a little too hard in some areas and we lost production. And as you know, you can never get your time back. So once you've lost time, you've lost it forever. So our customers, in some ways, took the brunt end of some longer lead times that we end up creating by trying to go all in too fast. I think there's areas where you can really go all in on SOPs, but there are areas that you really need to manage. And for us, fabrication is an area that we have to manage because we need the throughput through there, and their SOPs are 50 steps.
Yeah.
So from here going forward, we're going to try to use a water spider, our team lead, to help try to document that process on the newer product. We're also going to have engineering help as they introduce new products to try to sketch out the assembly, and maybe we can simplify it from not being 50 steps, maybe to 25 steps.
In essence, you're going to support those people better so you don't interrupt the value flows.
Yeah.
I've got another question I'd like to finish with. So you are here now in the world of standardization. What's next to go on, up and beyond?
Well, 1,000 SOPs was a goal because you mentioned that no one has done it. So I was hell-bent on making sure that we were the first. After this, honestly, we have so many more that we need to create. I wouldn't be surprised if we broke the 2,000 barrier within short time. But from there, honestly, I just want to find a way to help and give back. So many people have put time and energy into me, including you, Tom, to essentially be a mentor to help us grow. And I want to find a way to do that. So if you're out there and you're struggling with SOPs, reach out to us. I'd gladly show you how I did it, what we're doing, what our standards look like, what our operations look like. I'm an open book.
And this is something that we didn't plan at all for this video, but I have a feeling when I say to Brian, look, people want to come and visit you and get to learn and understand this better physically on site. Are you open to that?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you go out to hibachi with us afterwards.
You're buying. I did last night.
He wouldn't let us buy. He just insisted on it. So I told him, all right, when I'm a visitor in Ireland, I'm buying.
For sure. But hey guys, look, I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a while of a time making it. I think it's the highest level, most informative video we've made around how to implement SOPs from the person who's done it. So I hope you get value, and Brian and all your team, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, I'm just a conduit for the people that are here. So if you have questions, let us know, and I'll be happy to go ask Chris how he's so freaking awesome.